Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the rear brake pads on our 2009 Yamaha YFZ450R. Really simple to do. Let me go grab just a couple of tools and I'll walk you through it. This is a very simple procedure, so it barely rates at a skill level 1. Let's go over some of the tools that you're going to need to pull this off. On the socket side, just a 14 millimeter. Then you're going to need a 5 millimeter Allen, 3/8 extension, 12 millimeter wrench, flat blade screwdriver, 3/8 ratchet, and as always, a good torque wrench. Now if you would, watch the video all the way through because I'm going to give you the torque values that you're going to need to set each nut and bolt for. Now, as far as the parts go, if you would, reference our parts diagrams. That's going to tell you exactly what you need and get it ordered so we can go over there and I can show you how to get it done. All right, let's start by loosening up the pins that actually go through the caliper and the brake pads. Don't remove them all the way, just go ahead and back them out. With that done, we can remove two 14 millimeter bolts that actually go through the bracket and attach the caliper to the rear carrier. I mean, I know from looking at these pads, there's still a good bit of meat on them left, but I don't like to wear them all the way down for two reasons. One, if they're really worn down, they don't dissipate the heat as well. And secondly, that causes them not to grab. And if you let them go all the way down, then you run the risk of damaging your rotor. I don't think you want to do that. All right, now we can just lift the caliper assembly off, rotate it up. We want to go ahead and at this point compress the pistons back inside of the bores on the caliper. But before we do that, go ahead and loosen up your locking bolt on your parking brake. Give it just a couple of turns out. So if somebody else had adjusted it, if you don't go ahead and back it out a little bit, you won't be able to get the new pads in there. So at this point, we want to go ahead and get a flat blade screwdriver and compress the piston back inside of the caliper. That way it'll give us room to get the new brake pads in there. I typically just put it in there and twist, hold it for a few seconds, and you can feel it give. I do one piston and then the second, and then go in the middle just to make sure that they're compressed all the way. Now with that done, we can go ahead and remove the pins. You may want to push in on the pads because they're actually, there's a couple of pieces of metal under here that act like springs to hold them up. So push in on them just a tick and the pins will pull right out. There we go. Now they just lift out. All right, now would be a good time just to grab a small bristled brush and at least get any dirt that's accumulated up in there. All right, now we just need to put it all back together. Take your new pads, push them down in place. All right, I've got the pads in place, but what I want to do before I put the pins in is clean these up a little bit, just to get the dirt off. So I'll be right back. All right, now with our pins cleaned up, we can push down on the pads against that spring and just insert them through, but don't tighten them down yet. Now carefully make sure you got enough of a gap in between the two pads to get it over the rotor. And go ahead and put our bracket bolts back in. Now we need to set the torque to 31 foot-pounds. Next, take just a little bit of thread locker and put it on the threads of the pins. And then we're going to torque those to 12 foot-pounds. All right, the next thing we need to do is actually set the length of the parking brake. And the way you do that, we've still got this bolt a little bit loose. We're going to go in and we're going to measure in between this edge right here and the center of where the cable goes through that control arm. And what we're looking for is about 1.9 inches. So actually she's a little bit too much, is sitting at 2. I want to shorten it to about 1 7/8. That should get us in the ballpark. And where I adjust it is actually up toward the middle of the machine. So we need to move there and adjust the cable to where it brings it in a little bit more. All right, here's where we're going to adjust it. So we need to break loose that lock bolt right there. And then we're going to turn this to bring out that adjustment. And remember, we don't have to go very far. About 1/8 of an inch is all we're looking for right there to get it in spec. Let's see where that ended up. Close, just a little bit more. Let's see where that ended up. That's got it right at 1 7/8, and I'm happy with that. So let's go lock that one back down. That should hold it. All right, now what we want to do is take this bolt and run it in carefully until it bottoms out, and then back it up 1/8 of a turn. All right, it bottomed. Now we back it up 1/8. We're going to hold it still and then tighten up this pinch bolt. All right, with that in place, it should move right now, which it does. Pull that parking brake, and it's got it. Well, all right, guys, that wraps this one up. Well, listen, if you need any parts for your machine, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. Have any questions or comments? Leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Till next time, we just want to say thanks for shopping with us here at Partzilla.com, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.